Hello and welcome to another edition of the Insight250 Spotlight series, where we find out the stories and the people behind the insights. I'm Crispin Beale, the CEO of Insight250, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today by Paul Hudson, the founder and CEO of FlexMR. Welcome, Paul.
Hi, Crispin.
Well, look, I'm sure the first thing that people want to know is, how did you get into insights?
Well, I fell into it. Surely everybody says that. But I genuinely fell into it. I actually went to university doing a management degree. I always had ambitions of either running my own business or being a management consultant. And when I was doing that degree, a tutor of mine had just bought a local business, turned out to be one in telephone mystery shopping, offered me a job. And over the years, we evolved that company into doing groundbreaking research into the dot-com boom as it happened. I then got fortunate and was given the chance to do a management buyout of that company. And then that managed to fulfill my ambition of running my own company. So that's how I got into it. As I said, largely fell into it.
I think so many of us in the industry join that way, and it's always fascinating to hear those backgrounds. But how do you see the role of insights evolving, Paul?
Well, I think this is an interesting because it almost comes back to my desire to be a management consultant, actually, because I think what we need to do is we need to evolve it into a sector that is about decision consultancy or become decision consultants. And it's a phrase I heard actually in a conversation with one of my clients, but I think it rings true. The market research sector started out largely about data collection, but with big data sets, AI, insourcing of insight, all of that means that that role of data collection is really changing massively. And I think what we need to become is comfortable with the idea that we're decision consultants rather than data collectors. Within it, I think there's a lot of change, a lot of challenge, but I think that's how we need to frame it.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And Paul, what would your top tip be for someone to be a leader and innovator in our profession?
I think the top tip has to be always keep changing and evolving. The truth of most things in life, if you stand still, you'll probably end up behind. So that'd be my top tip. It's certainly what we hold dear at FlexMR.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And you've been doing a lot of work on survey quality. Tell us a bit more about that. Why is it so important?
Well, commercial value, really, it's lost commercial value. There's a lot of angles to survey quality. There's bots, there's fraud, there's survey participant experience, but it all adds up to a loss of commercial value. If I look at the work we've been doing, which is more around the participant experience, there's a value gap. The participants themselves don't derive the same value, and they've said that, compared to what they perceive the organizations are getting from it. That lack of perceived value or gap is what's behind falling response rates. And again, just trying to improve data quality and recover those response rates costs us time, it costs us money, it costs us effort. It loses decisions that we could be influencing, we're not. All of that adds up to lost commercial value, which we have to begin to address it going forward.
Yes, that's so spot on, Paul. I completely agree. And look, Paul and I have talked a lot more about this, and you can see and read a lot more about the whole area in Paul's article in Research World. And you can find that on Research World or going to insight250.com and looking at the interviews there. And as I say, there's a whole article discussing this in a lot more depth. Thank you so much for joining us, Paul. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, that wraps up another episode of the Insight250 Spotlight series. Thank you again, Paul, for joining us. It's been fascinating. Please stay tuned for more episodes and more discoveries. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, keep innovating. Thank you.